Hey Viking fans, would you believe me if I told you our run defense is improving? I'll talk about that next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. Now, do me a favor. Go down, hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Your comments only make me get better. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a listener. I know you have plenty of choices out there. Now, let's get started. What am I talking about? Our run defense is getting better. Well, I have some numbers to back it up, and I went back and watched the Lions game to see where it is we were strong and where we were weak, and I watched every play over and over again just to see what was going on, and I got some feedback. This is, I'm not an expert. I don't get paid by anybody. I'm a fan that, I'm sure I played football a little bit, but I don't know what the pros do. But hey, some things pass the eye test and some things don't pass the eye test. So let's talk about that. So let's get rid of Justin Jefferson and the Purple Hulk, my team mascot. Anyways, I got the Lions rushing here. The Eagles, they were 28 for 181 for 6.5 yards. A rush. Well, the Commanders, they were 24 for 191, 8 yards per carry. And then with the Vikings, they were 35 for 139 and 4 yards per carries. Now, 35 is a lot of rushing attempts, man. That is more than the other 2 weeks. And yet, they only had 4 yards per carry. And I'll tell you this, they surprised us on a few runs. Like running on 3rd and 7, running on third down. That is a surprising thing. Their tendency to go for it on 4th down kind of helped that. Now, there was maybe one chunk play in the first half, and that was over 10 yards. And when I saw the personnel on the field at that time, we had Blacklock and James Lynch in there. I think it's James. Well, Lynch, the redhead. So we had those two guys in there, not our run stuffers. We had our backups in the play and not our run stuffers, and they got blown off the line, unfortunately. These guys are 3rd down guys. And it wasn't even on 3rd down where these guys got blown off the line. It was like a 1st or 2nd down, and they got like a 13-yard run on it. So like the first half, that was the only big chunk play. There was maybe another 6 or 7 yard run, but really they weren't gashing us on defense, gashing us on the run game. And there was plenty of occasions where we stuffed them. So where they started to find a little more success is when the Vikings were down late and more desperate. And I'll tell you this, it was many occasions, it was Zadarius Smith trying to get a pass rush and taking himself out of the play. In a normal situation, playing with the lead, Zadarius Smith sets the edge on that play. That was the occasions in the second half where we gave up some chunk plays. Is Zadarius Smith was on the right defensive or outside linebacker position. His job would be to set the edge on a run play. He literally did an inside move and got just shoved out of the way by the tackle to where the running back just ran right where Zadarius Smith should have been. Zadarius should have stood up the lineman, and that ball would have been funneled in to where our linebackers were cleaning house. There was only a couple occasions where our defensive lineman got pushed back, but still maintained his lane integrity to where the running back would have a choice to go right or left off the block, and our linebackers waited. Now, if they guessed right, and shoot the gap, they blow up the play. But we waited. Then there was only a couple occasions. So where we got beat was early when we didn't have really run personnel in there on the defensive line, or our linebackers sat back on a couple plays and let the running back come to them. Now, I'm going to tell you, Harrison Phillips is doing his job, man. They're getting double teamed and they're holding their ground and not getting shoved off the line like we did to the Lions, where we just wiped them off, or where Philly did to the Lions, where they just wiped them off the map and had a huge running lane. Those things do not happen to us. So it is encouraging that we're not getting just wiped off the map. Zadarius Smith, late in the game, took himself out of the play to where they got some chunk yardage. Not huge chunks, but just enough to make it look like they're running at will on us. I'm going to tell you that the Lions did not run at will on us, and it shows how they had the worst running day so far this year. They did not score 35 points against us, and we were able to shut them down on several occasions and get the ball back because they were having trouble running on us. Now, that 4 yards of carry is only 4 yards of carry because late in the game, Zadarius Smith was taking himself out of the play, trying to pass rush on a running down. And I don't know what he was doing, but it's something we can clean up. It is something we can clean up. He is strong enough, powerful enough to stand up an offensive lineman. He's that type. He's that type of gifted athlete. Now, only person who's going to beat Zadarius Smith is Zadarius Smith. I was pretty impressive how Tomlinson, Bullard, and especially Harrison Phillips were able to stand up offensive linemen and win at the line of scrimmage. Lions didn't dominate us on the run. They had to run 35 times to get this yardage. They were playing with a lead. That's why they ran so much. And then late in the game, for some reason, we just lost our way on a couple plays. But you cannot go look at that game and say they were gashing us in the run like they were doing the previous two teams the week before. So that being said, now moving on, the Saints rushing. Now, the Falcons, they ran 7.9 yards per carry. So 19 on 151. 19 for 151 yards. The Bucks, 20 for 100 yards on 5 yards per carry. And this last game, they were playing from behind, so, they weren't running at, but they ran more than they ran the 2 weeks before. Kamara, 60 yards maybe. So most of this yardage on one chunk play. So on one chunk play, they got almost half their yards. So we're facing a team that's struggling to run the ball right now. They had one play where Kamara got like a 30-yard run. The rest of this, it would have made him look super terrible. So there is a good thing going in this game. We're going to face the Saints, who have steadily gotten worse at rushing the ball, to where the Panthers held them to 3.8 yards and only gave half of it up on one chunk play. So that's important. This will be a nice little situation where, hey, we got to hold them to what the Panthers did, and we can say, hey, our defense is improving week to week. And here's why I'm saying this. Because the Packers, we gave up 18 carries for 111 yards, 6.2. Most of that was in the third quarter where they were gashing us. I think we made adjustments. Now the Eagles. We held the Eagles, who had 220 yards the week before, to 163, like 6 yards per carry to 4.8. So there is these numbers all are trending good for us. Now the Lions, 35 carries for 139 yards, 4.0, or 130, I forget, 4.0. So we have now steadily improved the yards we're giving up considerably as this team is getting better at understanding what Donatel wants. We may not agree with his defense, a philosophy, but any defense, if you play within it, you'll be better off than going outside of the scheme. So hopefully he makes adjustments, but in the meantime, it looks like we're understanding the defensive scheme and playing better. That's my son. I will be right out there. So hey, I got my son just joined me. All right, so that's it. That's it for the Vikings. We're improving. Hey, all right, I'm up. Say hi, wave.
Hi.
All right, I'll be right out there. Love you. All right, that was my son. He decided. I'm not gonna edit that out. That's just spontaneous. All right, Vikings are gonna improve. They have improved. We see a steady improvement on the rush defense. Go Vikings. Let's get after the Saints. They're hurting right now, big time. We need to show what we can do. Stay disciplined. Don't try to do something that's not designed in the defense, and you'll be fine in this rush defense game. We got the personnel to do it. We got cleanup linebackers. We got stout defensive linemen to stop the run. There's no reason why we can't stop the run if we stay. Now, I think Danielle Hunter's doing fine in the run game. It is Zadarius Smith who played himself out of the place several times in the second half. Let's do this. Let's do this. We're a disciplined team. It shows out there. Go watch the film. These guys are holding up the blocks. But when we have the right personnel in there on a run defense, sure, occasionally they'll catch us with a Lynch and a Blacklock in there. But hey, most of the time we had the right personnel in there. We held up the run. We did not give up gas yardage. This is a good defense. We have a good defensive roster. Let's fit the scheme to them, man. Let's do it. Turn this around. Starting Sunday morning, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. Let's go. That's it for today. Skol Vikings. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Let's go. Cue the music. Thank you, Viking fans, for listening. Make sure you catch my other episodes. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Skol Vikes.